So the other day I was in a store and there was a bit of tension between the associate and one of the consumers. And honestly, it was starting to go down like it was an MMA fight. It was somewhat enjoyable to watch. I hate to admit, but I am only human. I have base instincts and I wanted to kind of see where this would go. I wasn't supporting it, but I was kind of interested, if that makes any sense. And bottom line, it was not a good scene. And as an outside observer, both of them were in the wrong. But we've all been there, right? We have all had issues where we've been struggling to communicate with someone. We think we're as clear as glass, that we're being very clear, concise, that we're getting all the points across that we need to, but spoiler alert, we're not. Because if we were, we'd be closing the sale instead of fighting over something stupid. So let's get it started and have a conversation about how we can build better understanding between ourselves and our customers, because it is a two-way street and we need to understand that they are as confusing as we are. And that together, if we're both clear, we can get a lot done. All right, I'll see you on the other side. All right, welcome to the conversation. I'm E.A. Showard, and this is where we discuss the challenges and issues that face self-employed, small and home businesses. Like our problems are different than everybody else's. We're on a scale that's very small, but our problems can feel like they're massive. So we're talking about understanding all week through all of my content, building better understanding between ourselves and our consumers. It's been sort of the thread all week. Now, the challenge with most problems is it comes from a personal point of view. We typically think about them as us. It's me, it's my problem, I'm the most important thing. And that is only natural. That is human nature. We're not going to get around it. But there are times where it's definitely the other person, all right? This comes down to communication. We can typically think, I am being clear as a bell. I'm being crystal clear, but we're not. Our POV dictates, it's going to always dictate that we are in the right. We somehow feel naturally as humans, we are in the right, we are being attacked. And that's not the way to come lately. It's kind of become the fashion, but that's not the way, all right? If we want to be less confusing, if we want to build respect and appreciation and understanding between ourselves and our consumers, we need to understand that it's a two-way street, all right? We both have skin in the game, and two wrongs don't make a right. This doesn't work that way, as much as current society thinks that should be the case, all right? But let's keep it real for a minute, all right? We've talked a lot in the past couple of weeks about how we as businesses can improve our communication, how we can be clearer in what we do, how we can be clearer in explaining our unique place in the market, our products, our services, our offerings. What we haven't talked about is the consumer, all right? The consumer is, one of these things that I always say to people is it takes two to make a fight, all right? So if I have a fight with someone, I am just as wrong as they are, because there were many points where I could jump off and I could diffuse the situation, but I didn't. So it's sort of like nuclear war. They shoot a missile, I shoot a missile, they shoot two missiles, I shoot three. You know, it's going to escalate, and it's not a good thing for anybody, all right? So we need to understand as consumers, because as business owners, we're in a unique spot because we're both business owners and consumers, but as consumers, we can be confusing. We can make things more confusing than they have to be. Typically, there's three causes for consumers being confusing, all right? And we're gonna go into these in a little bit of detail in a minute, but bear with me. First of all, they're distracted. What they want or what they need, they think it's really clear in their head, they have it worked out, but it's not clear when it comes out of their mouth, and they have inaccurate or incorrect expectations. All right, let's dig in those a little bit. First, let's talk about distracted, all right? And not to be that guy, I hate to be that guy, but things were easier back in the good old days before we had cell phones and everything. There weren't the challenges that we had now for our attention when we were out in public, or we were out shopping, or we were out dealing with other people. Mobile devices have given us a tidal wave of distractions, all right? I see it all the time. There's people, my favorite thing is a couple of years ago, we went out to dinner and there was a family that sat down at a table. No sooner did that entire family sit down than all the cell phones came out and they were all on the internet. And I was joking with my husband, I'm like, do you think they're texting each other to talk about the dinner or are they just on the web? You know, it's like, all right, that is where we are now as society. People think that they can be on their phone and texting or tweeting or answering phone calls or stuff while they're engaging or interacting with other people. And that's bringing up distractions, all right? When you talk to somebody, and unless it's an incredibly important phone call, and if it is an incredibly important phone call, then walk away from the situation. Say to the person, excuse me, I need to take this, I'll be right back. Or can you excuse me for a minute? But while you're trying to hold a conversation with a sales associate and talk to your kids and deal with it, it's too much. And it's disrespectful to the sales associate, it's rude, it puts people in a sense of, I feel less than because I guess clearly I'm not as important as this phone call. And the phone call probably feels slighted too, like, well, why are you talking to everybody but me at this time? You know, it's a bad situation, all right? And I hear you. You're like, but what if it's my kids? They're calling in, it's an emergency. Walk away. Just say, excuse me, I need to take this. It's an emergency. I will be right back. I guarantee you, anybody on this planet, unless they're a major asshole, would be like, no, go do that. We'll finish when you get back. It's okay. It's not a problem. All right? Don't be rude. And you remember, you get what you give. So if you're going to act distracted and rude, then what is to stop the sales associate from waiting on two people at the same time? Or while they're waiting on you, answer the phone for the business or whatever it is. So if you want that respect as a consumer, you want that understanding, you need to give it. All right? Now, we're all busy. We totally get it. You know, I mean, we're all distracted, and beyond the stuff of like, I need to be on Instagram, I need to be on TikTok, whatever, there are other distractions coming at us. And one of the things that I think that we all need to sort of take a breath about and sit back and think about is there are a lot of things going in on our lives, all right? If you have kids, that's a whole separate level of stress coming and distraction. Maybe you're late and you have to go pick them up, but you're running around town looking for something that they need and they forgot to tell you about that they, like, there's a lot, all right? We're overwhelmed with work. We're struggling to make ends meet. Things are more expensive, so we can't afford as much, and that's putting pressure on us. Those are understandable pressures. However, we are all in the same boat. We are all struggling with those things. We all have a bunch of shit going on in the back that we're just going to put on the side for a minute. All right. Those are emotional and they can really cause us issues. So we need to, when we're dealing with another person, be in the moment and be like, I need to put this on the side. I can't deal with the kids right now because this is going to take me 2 seconds. So let me deal with this and then I'll solve that problem. We need to sort of prioritize, all right? Now, the next thing that comes up is that it's sometimes with businesses and consumers, and I'm going to talk from a personal standpoint because this is usually, I'm a great example of this. Before I usually purchase something, and this is a total Gen X kind of thing, I research the fuck out of it. Like, I've looked everything up and down. I try to understand as much about it. I try to make the best decision possible. And I blame all of this on Consumer Reports. But I'm one of those people. My husband and I, we do that all the time. We totally research things. It's clear in our head what we want, how we want it, everything. All right? Just because it's clear in our head doesn't mean that when we go out to purchase it, that it comes out the way it's in our head. It doesn't mean that when we talk to the sales associate, we talk to another business, that we are making sense, because we have spent so much time with it. We have spent so much time thinking about it, talking about it. We have sort of developed a shorthand. We've sort of cut out a lot of the important details so that when we do talk about it, we're talking to somebody and we're leaving out huge chunks of information so that they're kind of trying to stitch together what needs to happen, and it's just not making any sense to them. All right. The other side of it is sometimes that we come in from and I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna say a regional standpoint. All right. It's also a demographic standpoint. It comes from an age thing and a regional thing. There are a lot of times where, being an East Coast guy, I'll say something and people are like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, it's this. And when I describe it to them, they're like, no, that's really this. All right. The big one that goes from all of my friends, everybody, is because I'm a Philly boy, I call those little things that you put on ice cream, Jimmy's. Everybody else calls them sprinkles, but Philadelphia, New York region, we call them Jimmy's. So that, to me, whenever I say Jimmy's, people are like, what are you talking about? And then when I explain them, they're like, oh, those are sprinkles. Those things happen as well. I've been in many stores where people come in and they wanted to buy a pair of shoes and they ask for tennies. What's tennies? Tennis shoes. What they really mean is sneakers, any type of sneaker, but they call it a tenny. So again, it's a regional, it's a demographic. So we need to understand that while those things might make sense to us and to our inner circle and to our friends and family, it doesn't necessarily make sense outside of that closed community. So we need to learn how to start speaking the language of the larger community instead of our closed community, if that makes any sense, all right? If not, leave some comments and I'm happy to clarify it a little bit better. Now, 9 times out of 10 when these things happen, we are on the same page. Whenever I say Jimmy's and they say sprinkles, we're talking about the same thing. We're same church, right, wrong pew kind of situation. We're all on the same page. We're all on the same thinking. I'm just using different language to describe something. So we need to go into it with an open mind and we need to start asking probing questions. I think do you mean this? And then kind of get some answers from them, kind of dig deeper to figure out what they're really looking for. And that's going to require listening. All right, we need to really practice our active listening skills. We need to stop making assumptions. We need to stop jumping ahead. And I'm a big one for that. I try to figure out, I'm jumping ahead 10 paces when someone's talking to me to try and solve the problem faster, when I need to just take a breath and listen to the person and be like, you know what? Yes, here's the solution for it. Because I'm still going to give them the solution. It's just not a matter of what the solution is. It's a matter of when I give the solution. And, if we're building understanding and appreciation, I need to let them speak their piece. I need to let them talk. I need to let them get it out so that then I can come in and give it. Because again, the answer is going to be the same. It just doesn't matter when I deliver it, right? And finally, if you've watched any of my content, if you know anything about me, you know that I am a big proponent of expectations, all right? We know that expectations feed into every interaction we have with a consumer. Every interaction. They come at us with an expectation in their head of what they think they want to happen, what should happen. And when it goes according to plan, it's perfect. They come in, they grab it, they buy it, they walk out, boom, we're good. The problem is they have an expectation that they come in, they're going to buy it. When it's not there, reality and expectations hit the wall and everything starts to fall apart. It's like Jenga. Once one piece comes out, the rest of it can start to crumble. Now, I've done other videos on expectations and how to foster them and how to create accurate expectations. Those are all in the basics videos if you need them. But what I'm saying here is we need to come from a place of understanding. We need to really appreciate that when they come in and they're looking for something, or when they call us and they're looking for something and we don't have it, that's going to cause them some issues. That's going to cause them some stress, and that's going to cause them some problems because they are trying to process. So maybe it was the kind of thing, they were going to walk in and get it, because it seems like diapers or baby food is going to be a problem again. They walk in to get baby food and they're all out of baby food. That starts a domino effect of, where do I go next? Where do I get the food? How do I feed my kid? And so you can start to see, and if you're the fourth business they've been to looking for this thing, you can start to see how the panic level is going to start to grow. So we need to come from a place of understanding that they're coming in here with an expectation of something that's going to happen. When it doesn't, we need to work to try and get that back online. We need to, okay, let me listen to you. Let me talk it out with you. We don't have exactly what you're looking for, but here, this is what can help you get there. All right? Because once that expectation clashes with reality and they don't match up, there's going to be a problem. They're going to start to fall apart like a Jenga game. All right. Now, it can take a minute or two for us to kind of really listen to them and figure it out. And it might be crazy busy and we might be doing 20 things at once. But those consumers, they are important to us. All right. We, as a self-employed, smaller home business, we take those relationships very carefully. We need to be sure that every consumer feels valued, appreciated, and respected while they're with our business. All right. Because for our group, for our demographic, our industry, our reputation is all we have. All right. And I know that sounds like melodramatic, but we do. That's all we have is our reputation. All right. And we need to make sure that we are constantly adding to it and not taking away from it. All right. So let's bring it all home here. Hopefully we started to see that understanding is a two-way street. We need to start building those connections between ourselves and our consumers. And where I'm going with all of this is, if we want to receive appreciation, if we want to be understood, if we want respect, we need to give that. We need to give our consumers the room to explore, to kind of get things out, to really kind of help them in the best way that we possibly can. Now, let's start tomorrow. Let's start today, giving people more understanding, giving people more room so that they can really get to the root of the problem and we can really assist them and build that relationship, because that relationship is what's going to carry us into the next day, next week, next month. That relationship is what's going to help us grow our business. All right, this has been The Conversation, and I am E.H. Howard, and I hope that you've enjoyed this content. Make sure you leave comments below. I want to start having a dialogue and beginning communication of ideas, because that's the point of this, right? It's a conversation. We want to start talking about things. You've all been in these situations, whether you're the business or the consumer, and I would love to hear about your experiences, how you've dealt with distractions and expectations, all of that kind of stuff. As I mentioned, this video is part of content that's all week. All week we've been talking about understanding and increasing our clarity to help grow our business. If you want to access any of the related content or learn more about what's going on with all of this, feel free to visit the Hub. It's your center point for every week. Each week there's going to be a new topic that we're going to talk about, and all the content is going to revolve around that. If you need it, you can find it in the Hub. Every Friday we bring it all together with the Week in Review, so make sure you get that. That's at week.ehhoward.com. The Hub is at hub.ehhoward.com. And I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you spending it with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.